Hi, I'm Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today we're going to be going over my September wrap-up. September came and went like that, and it was crazy. So first we're going to get to Stats Paco, and then we will get into Descriptive Paco after. Hi guys, it is Stats Paco, so I'm looking at my spreadsheet right here, and in the in the month of September, I read about 8 books. I read about 576 pages. Hours listed was 816. Average rating was about 3.8, not terrible. I acquired 12 books. We'll get into that. No rereads, no DNFs. I started 4 series, and 5 of those books were diverse. Audiobooks were 6, ebook 1, physical book 1. 1 was a graphic novel, and the rest were 3 were YA, and 5 were adult. And all of them were fiction. Like I had not said yet, but so I was in a really bad reading slump this month. I could not physically read any book at all until the very end of the month. I just was in it. It was a busy month for me because I had work was starting to pick up again, because in October the basketball season starts, and just September we had a lot of concerts and stuff. And then in the middle of the month I was on vacation with my family. We went to DC, so it was like reading. I wanted to read a lot on that vacation. I didn't actually. I did get some reading done like on the airports, so that happened, which was luckily. But I just did not read as much as I was really hoping to, which really sucked for me because I was competing in the Mystic Readathon, but I still participated and was able to help. But I was hoping to get a lot of reading done. But that's just not how the fate happened. Well, we still read a decent amount, 8 books, and nothing to get about, and it is no pressure on anybody else. It's just what I set myself to, expectations, because of that, I am now at 88 books read when I wanted to be at 90 books read at the beginning of October. But you know what? We're going to power through. I'm already reading more physically. I am not reading as much audibly, but it is only the second. So, I will see you guys with other Paco. Thank you, Stats Paco. So, like Stats Paco said, I competed in the Mystic Readathon last month in September. I was a captain for the witches. So, all my, I tried to, hold my TBR to that. But it was a crazy month for me, because not only was I doing the readathon, but work started picking up again, and I went on vacation for a week to DC, and I also just happened to be hit with the big physical reading slump. I only physically read 1 book this month. The rest of the books I read were audio, because physical books could not hold my attention. I'm kind of coming out of it now, but it was really bad. I only read, like I said, 8 books, which I know it's not bad for people, but just for me, I felt like I wasn't reading as much as I wanted to be. But let's now get into it. So the first book I read this month was Batman and Superman's World's Finest, Volume 1, The Demon Azah. I forget this author's name, but the comic right here is here. This is the first volume of the current World's Finest run, which is a team-up of Superman and Batman. This takes place in the younger years, Dick Grayson is still Robin, and all the world's superheroes are being attacked by a plan, and by villains, but there is a strategic plan to it, and they find out that this ancient demon Azah is behind it, and he's trying to take over the world, and he is trying to do so by taking out the heroes. And this is a pretty fun comic. It had Superman and Batman's dynamic was really fun, and then Supergirl was in it as well, so I really enjoyed this comic. I probably will be continuing with the series, because there was a cliffhanger. It had the Doom Patrol in it, which was fun, and I know there's a Wonder Woman arc coming up in the future that just happened, so it's gonna be a while off, but I do want to read that. So I gave that book about a 3.5 stars. My next read was a book I buddy read with Helen, and that was The Phoenix King by Ariana Verma. This is a Indian-inspired fantasy about a princess who is getting ready to ascend to the throne, but she really doesn't like how controlling her father is, and how controlling of the people her father is, and that she doesn't think he's going to kind of give up the throne as easily as he should be. and she is also like hesitant learning the magic system she's supposed to inherit. And then it also follows an assassin. So I enjoyed this. I did not love it as much as I was hoping to. This was like the really bad of the reading like audiobook slump for me, and it took me forever to get into this. So I did give this 3 stars. The world building was really cool. It was like more of sci-fi and fantasy than just fantasy than I expected. But it was pretty interesting. I most likely will be continuing with the series, but I'll probably have to reread the first book. Next book I read was for the debut-a-thon, and that was Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. If you didn't know, me and Jen are doing a debut-a-thon. The day this video comes out, it should be Sunday is the live for it, with me, Jen, and a special guest. So this book follows 3 characters, 2 POVs. What's her name? Sean Leclerc and Samuel Hutchinson. Sean is the daughter of this royal house, or like not royal as in like king and queen, but more like noble. That's the word I'm looking for. Noble house. And she's a blood worker, so she has the ability to use this country's blood magic. And she is very ambitious. In the first chapter, she like kind of takes power over her family name and her title and stuff like that. And she is trying to get the attention of the Undying King. I think that's what he's called. The Eternal King. And she is trying to get his attention so that she could get more position and power in court. And the other character we have is Samuel Hutchinson, who is he can't use the blood. He's like unblooded, so he cannot use the magic, which makes him the lower class citizen. He is also a bastard, and he has a secret dark power he doesn't want people to know. Shit happens, things get entwined, and political intrigue happens. This is a fantasy, like there's a poly relationship at the heart of it, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I really liked all 3 pillars of our trip, and I am very excited to see what happens more. There's vampires. This was a world, really, the setting, the atmosphere was really well done. If you're an atmosphere girly like I am, then you will love this, the atmosphere that was created in this. I really enjoyed that. The magic system was kind of fun to see, and there was like a mystery, but the mystery wasn't the biggest part of it. I am intrigued to continue on with this series. The next book I got to read was the sequel to Divine Rivals. I finished out the duology with Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. So this book, duology, follows Iris. What is her full name? Iris and Roma, who they are both journalists at this newspaper, and then Iris decides she wants to be a war correspondent, and then Roma goes as well for reasons, and this wrapped up the duology. I thought this was a perfect good end to the duology. I gave this book about 4 stars. I think I gave the duology overall 4 stars. I felt like this was a good duology because book 1 felt very much act 1, and then this felt very much act 2 to wrap up the story. Was there more interesting things, or like the plot was the best, but I also felt like the plot wasn't the biggest focus. But I really enjoyed this. It was a fun romp. The world was interesting. They had gods and stuff. And I just really enjoyed it. The writing was fun. It was very captivating. That's a big word for Elmo. But not even that big. But I just really enjoyed this world. I don't know if the Fairy Loot edition helped with my picturing, because I did picture this kind of like a black and white movie. Like these Fairy Loot covers gave Turner Classic vibes. That's what I was picturing in my head. But I will be continuing with Rebecca Ross's work. I am excited to see what else she writes or what else she's written that I will read. So the next book I read, speaking of atmospheric, was One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This book follows a girl, noble as well, is Lisbeth Spindle, who when she is young, she gets this disease that, like a plague, that grants her magical abilities, but she keeps hers hidden because anybody that is found with the magic abilities that is not this card system that is set in place is put to death. And she is hiding until she is one day tasked, or kind of joins forces with these people to try to end this magic system thing. Because there's these magic cards that each have their own abilities, and if you bring them all together, you can kind of free the town, and they're trying to do that. And I really enjoyed this. The atmosphere was chef's kiss. I like Elizabeth as a character, and there's another character that was really interesting that is a part of her power set. that was really cool, and I'm very interested to see what happens in book 2 with this dynamic, which I will be reading this month. But this is really fun, really atmospheric. I love the vibes it was giving, and I'm very ready for book 2. And that was like a 4-star. The next book was 5 stars, and that is The Very Irregular Secret Society of Witches by Shogun Manduna. I think I pronounced that right. Probably butchered it. I'm sorry. So, Mika is a witch, and witches usually are not supposed to associate with each other besides, like, their coven meeting. And, they're only supposed to meet, like, once every 3 months, and they're not supposed to contact any witch outside of that. And one day, Mika is positioned by these people to be like, hey, we have some young witches here. Can you help train them so that they know how to use their magic? And she decides whatnot, and she gets embroiled in this family dynamic, and it gets this really sweet, like, family. This is really cute, cozy fantasy. You will see more of my in-depth review in my vlog, which will come out eventually. I just need to wrap the vlog up for my DC vlog, which is going to be part of my 12 Witchy Picks, because this is in my 12 Witchy Picks. I read it for that, and I really enjoyed this. This was a 5-star. I thought the writing was really fun and clever. It's not getting its dedicated video because I listened to this on the plane ride, basically. I finished this in 1 day, or 2 days pretty much, because I had like an hour left the day after my plane ride home. But I really enjoyed this, and I will be continuing with this author's work. This is just really cute, cozy. The family dynamics was chef kiss. And I liked our relationship, but I preferred the family dynamic more than the main couple. So I'm intrigued to see what other books this author writes. And the last book, no, not the last book. The second last book I read this month was Immortal Dark by Tejas Grima. This book is a Ethiopian-inspired dark academia novel about vampires. Kidan. Her sister's missing, and she thinks that the vampires that her family has been running from are behind it, and so she gets a chance to go to this school where the vampire she believes that kidnapped her sister attends, and she tries to bring it down, but the only way to actively get her sister back, not only does she have to try to solve if this vampire did it, but she has to attend classes and graduate so that she could be able to look into this mystery. Also, she is supposed to live with the vampire she thinks that did it, and it's enemies to lovers, and it's dark academia, and it's vampires. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought there were some really fun scenes, but I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I did not love it as much as I was hoping to. This was a debut, and I just felt my main issue with it was how choppy this book felt. It felt like we went scene, and not like we were flowing into those scenes. It felt like I saw a video on TikTok that I was watching reviews about it to see if I was alone in this, but it felt very we were at all these important scenes, but they weren't connected in a way. At least that's how it felt for me. It's still a great book. I did enjoy it. I just did not love it, if that makes sense. So I'm giving it a 3.5. It's almost a 4-star, but I just couldn't get over that. This was my one book I was able to physically read this month, and so it was a very the writing was great, and the scenes that I read, and the characters were fun, but I just could not connect with it because of that choppiness, for me at least. I will be continuing with the series and seeing how this author grows more, because this is a debut. And the last book I read was Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. So I read this romance, and this was a really great palate cleanser. This is a book about, I forget her name. It doesn't matter. Some girl. It's a romance book, but she is a violinist. I think she's a 4th chair in this orchestra, and she gets assigned to be first chair for a publicity stunt, and also she's extremely talented, but also there is the fact that she's it's a publicity stunt to get more money for the orchestra, and then that makes her butt heads with Alexander Thorne, who is the cello, the lead celloist for this orchestra, and also the lead of her favorite band as well, rock band. And they start butting heads, and shit happens. It is a rivals to lover, very loosely on that. It is also it was originally a fanfic, Raylo fanfic, that was into this, which I didn't realize it going into it. I should have known from the cover, But once reading it, I was like, oh, this is Reylo. This is really Reylo. This is really, really, really Reylo. Like, it took me a minute to realize who each characters were, because it wasn't just, like, our main characters. It was, like, everybody here was a Reylo. A character from that franchise. But I really did enjoy this. This was a fun palate cleanser. I will be reading Julie Soto's debut because I enjoyed this as much as I did. I do not read romances all the time, like contemporary romances all the time, but they are helpful palate cleansers. And I read this because also the bookstore I go to, I wanted to go to the book club for it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm off this Sunday, let me read it. It was an easy read. I read it mainly in one day at work, and I enjoyed it. So I gave it like a 3.5, because like romances have to be really spectacular for me to go more than 4 or 5, and it wasn't spectacular, but it was really fun. So I enjoyed it. And I was like, do I find musicians hot? Because not like just musicians, but like they were like talking about playing the music and like seductively, and I was like, is this hot? But I enjoyed it. I will be continuing with her work. So that is what I read this month. What did you guys read in the month of September? Did you complete in the the Mystic Readathon? If you did, shout out to Nell for hosting that. Because that was fantastic. Even though we witches didn't win, I call it rigged. Just saying, it wasn't, but I'm just joking. But which was amazing fun. So if you competed in that, or if you, I know I got a lot of subscribers because of the Mystic Readathon, and I hope you're here to stay. I had a lot of fun competing in that, and would gladly compete in it again. So I will see you guys next time over the rainbow. Bye.